You know what really I just hate about the world is like this is my second attempt at doing this video, and I was trying to give out just a little information, and I realized that mean people and demented people and crazy people just ruin the whole experience of living because you just can't be honest. You can't be honest with your emotions. You can't be honest with your information, not unless you're ready to die or you're ready to be destroyed emotionally at the very least. You know, and I've been through some things where people that I've trusted for years and years have wrecked me emotionally. And, you know, I would just like to, you know, just go all in. You know, wouldn't it be great and so liberating to just go all in and pull like a Jesus Christ martyr thing and just be like, okay, here's the deal. You don't like it, go ahead and kill me. Here I am. You know, here's my address. Let's throw it on the internet. You know, because I was trying to. I was talking about the situation with the meth house that got closed down, right? And I'm giving out the numbers, just the numbers. But I'm like, what if somebody can find out who I am, where I am, just from numbers? Just look up police reports and just, you know, what if some maniac is out there that actually is watching these videos and would actually, for some stupid reason beyond my comprehension, become obsessed with my old crippled ass, and they could actually track me down from just little itty bitty bits of information. And then, you know, I finally broke down, like, bought a smartphone because I had a lot. I just carry I'm an old man, and I think like an old man, and I realize that some old people are techie, but not me, man. I carry just a burner phone, just a drug dealer phone for safety purposes, and it don't do nothing but make phone calls. But I lost it, so I had to buy a new phone. And I said, well, I can buy one of these Android smartphones for less than I'm just buying a burner phone, and I can have the internet and I can do texting, and which people do, which I've never texted. Uh, I'm like, it has all these features, and I get a year of it free. And I get a service plan free for a year, and it's less than this other phone that does way less. So, you know, seems like the sensible thing to buy it, right? Then I'm reading through all of it and all the privacy issues on there about, you know, your privacy and your information and protecting yourself from, you know, being online, and Google will only use your information for this and for that and all that, man. It just bums me out that people are like that, and that, you know, I don't know. I just don't know why the human race is just a sorry lot. Because I could tell you, you know, I've only told little teenth of my story on here, and it's not, you know, I've been through a lot of bad stuff, and there's something about life that just makes people just not give a fuck about other people and just turn evil, and I don't understand that. You know, I can understand not liking individual people, but just to turn evil and just, you know, just be like, I don't stop giving a damn about yourself and about other people, to the point where, you know, you're just like robbing strangers. You're just like, I just don't get any of it, because I've always been poor. I've always had close to nothing. I mean, by world standards, I'm doing okay. I got the three hots in a cot. You know, I got a roof over my head, but I've always been very poor and had very few possessions, and that's never really bothered me. And I've always had like poor health and stuff. And I'm far from like taking a superior tone to the rest of humanity and stuff like that, because, you know, I'm definitely far from a perfect person, but I do like look out for other people, and I do care about other people, and I'm still, even all the nasty stuff I've been through, I don't see myself as a person who would steal off of somebody anonymously off the internet that might need money more than I do. You know, they're like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get humanity. I'll just say that right up front. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand people. I don't understand the way they are, the way they think. I don't. I feel like an alien visitor on this planet of people that I do not understand. I've never figured it out. And that, I'm sure that says more about me than anything else. But anyways, trying to stick to some kind of point or cohesive point to this whole thing is I started on that little 5 minute rant because like I actually had to redo a video because I gave just the number to my uh, apartment and the number to the meth house that got closed down 6 days ago, just to give you an idea of how close this was. But let me just put it another way where you can't, no maniacs or weirdos out there can't find out where I am, and you know, whatever. Because I'm not ready to do the whole martyrdom Jesus Christ thing. Just like go ahead and kill me. I don't care. It's a stone's throw away. I can literally stand on my porch and hit it with a rock. Is how close this meth cookhouse was to where I'm living at. So it was like meth central around here with tweakers up all night. Like I seen some weird stuff going on around here, and meth and sleep don't go together. And for those of you that don't know, meth uh, brings on like violent psychotic criminality. It's like it's not even like something that they made up for the movies. I know police officers, and they tell you that they're the most violent of criminals is a tweaked out person that hasn't slept for 3 days from meth, and that's out of their head, like psychotic. And I got people walking all over the place. I'm under all this stress. I'm withdrawing uh, from Xanax slash Alprazolam, and I got drug deals going out of my apartment. I got tweakers, coming in and out of the place, walking 2 feet past my door, 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm seeing human skeletons walking around, people having arguments 8, 9 in the morning. This isn't even what I would consider a bad neighborhood. It was just like there was an abandoned house, and I don't know which came first, the people that moved in upstairs or the meth house. Maybe the people that moved in upstairs saw an opportunity and said, hey, there's an abandoned house over there. But anyway, all I know is they were cooking it across the street and they were selling it out of my apartment building. And that meant a lot of motherfucking tweakers around here. Scary people. So, I've already got anxiety, which I'm being treated for with the Alprazolam that I'm trying to get off of. And I'm weaning myself off of that, so your nerves are already fried. And then I got all this going on for like weeks. And then finally I saw what I just got fed up. I'm not like stupid, but I'm not like a worldly type person, so I didn't get the fact that my landlord really I have to call the police. If you're renting on a place and you're relying on your landlord to do the right thing, no, it's always better to take the burden or the onus or whatever you want to call it on yourself and take action. So if you're ever in a situation like I'm in, or like, well, I'm still in it, but like I was in a couple of weeks ago, man, just call the police. Don't complain to your landlord and expect him to do anything about it, because he's not here seeing the people that you're seeing, and he's not seeing what's going on, and he's not experiencing the fear and the sleeplessness and all that. So it's cost me. I've backslid some on my Xanax taper, but not that bad. I was taking too much volume, just to try to hold it together, because it's kind of hard to sleep knowing that there's people that will break in your house in a heartbeat and steal your stuff. So I'm sleeping next to a machete, literally, and not sleeping, not going to sleep until I'm like passing out. And yeah, so that's been happening. And then finally I called the police on the 4th of July, and I know I've told this story before, but there's more to it, so we'll review a little bit. So the landlord, excuse me, the landlord who I talked to today told me that, I finally swayed him, and he's like, I told the people upstairs that they got to be out of here by this Sunday. I want the keys left on the table. and you out. Okay? The problem is the apartment is being paid for by a government help program. So even though the guy was in jail, the apartment is paid for, and that guy hasn't been convicted yet that's in jail for breaking and entering. So those people are his guests, and they're criminals, and they're up there right now. And so I got my lights on. I got my TV, which eats electricity like hell. It's an old-fashioned 50-inch plasma TV. It's an electricity eater like an air conditioner or something. And, and I don't know. They can't hear me now, I'm assuming, because they're not directly over me. They're a little bit off to the side. But if they're savvy people, they got free rent. The guy can't kick them out of here legally. He's just trying to bluff them out of here. My landlord's trying to bluff them out of here by saying, you get out of here by Sunday or I'm going to use the courts, is the phrase that he told me he used, where really he has no legal leg to stand on, because that's his apartment still, even though he's in jail, and he gave the keys to somebody else and is letting them stay there, and that's within his rights to do that. So where I'm at with that is I'm just avoiding these people at all costs, because my temper has gone down a little bit, but I got like a violent temper. Like people say, oh, he has a bad temper because somebody gets angry. Those aren't the people that have a bad temper. Those are people that just get angry. That's the healthy way to go through life. As you get angry, you say some things, and then you get over it. And then the people say, oh, he's got a bad temper because he says a few choice words. No, no, no. Let me explain to you what a bad temper is. A bad temper is when you cross that line of rationality. And I'll tell a story that happened like 3 days ago with somebody I know that, like me, has a real bad temper. Not the pretend bad temper that people talk about, where somebody just flares up and then you get over it. Okay, this guy's walking, and he has this place that he likes to sit down. It's like a picnic table. And he sees what he perceives as two kids on that picnic table, and they've set it on fire. And they're sitting there playing on their phones, which I believe they were photographing or videoing the fire. And this is in a church pavilion area. There's like a little sheltered, like I don't know what you could call it, like an open air thing with a roof, and then a picnic table on it. Okay, this person that I know that sees this, and he loses his temper. He happens to be walking a very large dog, and he just starts running at them. And he thinks they're two kids, so in his mind, he's going to scare the hell out of them. So he's running at them, yelling and stuff. And unfortunately, he yelled the word kill. Get the hell out of here, I'm going to kill you, along those lines. And he's chasing them. And in his eyes at this point, there's a fat kid and a skinny kid. The skinny kid takes off like a breeze. He's gone. The fat kid just keeps falling down over and over again, and blubbering hysterically. And, he lets up, and he reins up by where the fire is, and he's like, man, he's looking, and the person's running away. The dog's that's with them, he don't even know what the heck's going on. He's like, this is all weird. We don't usually do this. So the fire's there. These people left tennis shoes and a basketball. My friend picks up the tennis shoes and throws them in the fire. Then he picks up the basketball and he puts the basketball in the fire. But the basketball's not burning right. So he takes out a knife and he stabs the basketball and deflates it and tries to get it to burn better. That's a bad temper. So the way the story progresses is he goes home. He realized that he did something. He threatened someone's life. He scared the living hell out of two people and threatened their lives. So he called the police himself. And he said, look, I witnessed an act of arson at a church, and I lost my temper. And he told them all the truth. And then he sat around worried about it for a while. And then lo and behold, about 1 o'clock in the morning, the police come and talk to him, and they explain that they already went to somebody's house over the incident. Now what happened is the people that he scared and ran away was a 13-year-old boy and a 22-year-old woman. The 22-year-old woman, if you remember the character Saturday Night Live on Pat, was a Pat. She was so big in the dark he couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. So he just thought it was two teenage boys, being firebugs. But instead, he's like making this woman, we're not making her fall, but she's falling all over the place. So she goes home, she's all bloodied and stuff. And her boyfriend happens to be the older brother of the 13-year-old that was sitting there at the picnic table watching the fire. So he's still out there with the dog, flashing back a little bit in the story. And the guy comes up and he starts threatening him. He says, "What the hell are you doing threatening to kill a 13-year-old? My bitch is all bloody." Bitch meaning his girlfriend. He's like, "I'm going to run your ass over." And my friend is like, he's just confused at this point. It's like, because he was thinking he was scaring two kids, and it's like two boys for one thing. So he's just kind of confused at this point. But then the guy, he starts to think it's a good idea to get out of there because he don't know who's in the van or what's going on. So he goes through a field, figuring, it's a vehicle. It's got to stay on the road. But no, it didn't stay on the road. He actually ran into the field, and he was yelling about running him over. "I'm going to run your ass over," So there's two people that lost their temper. But this guy that threatened to run him over and called the police, that was his bitch. That was his girlfriend that was falling all over the place, the Pat that got all bloody. And the 13-year-old was his little brother. The thing of it is, the guy that called the police didn't realize that they were burning a church, more or less. They were committing arson on church property. So he knocked on his girlfriend and his little brother because they just came home and they didn't fess up to the fact that they were burning property on church grounds, burning up a picnic table. And they didn't fess up to that and tell him what's going on. So on limited information, he called the police, and he busted his girlfriend and his younger brother. But see, that's a bad temper. It's one thing to throw the basketball into the fire. It's another thing to stab it and try to help it burn. So yeah, when people say bad temper, they usually mean just someone that loses their temper. But with me, I got the kind of temper like, here's a story for you. I'm in a car, it's winter time. I don't walk so good. My niece is in the car beside me, and she's not really afraid. She can take care of herself a lot better than me. But she's a diminutive woman. It's nighttime, and she parks in front of this house, and this woman is getting out of this car in front of there, and she's like, "You can't park here." And she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my niece is being polite. It's like, we're only going to be a minute, we're going to run in and out." She goes, "No, you don't understand, you can't park here." And yeah, she's like, well, starting to like walking toward my niece, and then I'm worried about my niece going off on her. And so, I just I got a loud voice, and I just pop out of the car, and I said, "Do you think you own the whole motherfucking street?" And it scared the hell out of her, and she just backed off, because she thought she was threatening somebody half her size. And I come out of the car, and she's like, "Whoa!" She didn't know it was dark. She didn't no street light there. She didn't know what she was stepping into. And it's winter time, and there's snow all over the ground and everything. And she's like, "I'll have my husband come out." And I said, "You tell him to get his ass out here, and I'll be waiting." And I was like, I'm like, "Tell him to come out. I want him to come out." I'm all ready to fight and stuff. Meanwhile, I can't even stand up. I got new shoes on that I ain't even tested in the snow, and I'm sliding around, holding on to the roof of this car, not even able to stand up, ready to fight, man. I can't even stand up. Slide. Can you imagine somebody slipping around, sliding like that, making a threat? "You bring his ass out here." I'll fall down and I'll bite his ankles. I swear to God, his Achilles are toast. But yeah, um, that's the kind of irrational temper I got. So the situation with the meth people was really wearing on my nerves because I, I don't got no reason. I don't have no logic. I just go out of my head when I actually do lose my temper. So that's a bad temper to me. A bad temper is when, you're trying to kick somebody without legs. That's a bad temper. When it transcends logic and reason, and that's a bad temper to me. So yeah, this is another, like, I don't know if I said that in this video or this failed video I talked about where I gave out too much information. But it's another dark night of the soul for me because I can't. I was got some things I want to work on guitar, and didn't even have the nerves for that. My nerves are still fried. My anger level is down a little bit, but my stress level is still pretty high. And um, I'm at the point where I just want to be unconscious, and I'm like, I have pills that'll make me do that. I can try some other pills besides Xanax that would put me out. And I don't see no sense in being awake when I'm like this. So that's why I'm on here talking to you and filling up the minutes. I'm good at I can do that. I can fill up some minutes. Um, yeah, it's 1:40 here in the heartland here in northern Ohio. It's been very hot summer here, and that doesn't help. Hopefully the fan isn't too loud in the background. I didn't turn on the air conditioner. So even though I got the same old horrible backdrop and the same old horrible setting, and I don't give you no visual. I don't give you no visual delights, that's for sure. But that's really not what this is about, anyways. Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting. And it's interesting and it's nerve wracking, but I'll be able to relax if we could just. We got 4 damn units in this building. It's only 4 apartments, and for 5 years we can't get 4 good people in here at the same time. It's ridiculous. We've had the first floor is covered because the guy beside me, he's been here for 6, 7 years. He's in a wheelchair. I've been here for like 8 years. But upstairs, people just come and they just go. We've had pot dealers, we've had crack dealers, now we've had meth dealers, we've had uh, domestic violence people. We had a weird interracial couple where the guy was actually racist against whites while having a white girlfriend, and she was just crazy. I don't know what his deal was, but I got him kicked out. I've got a lot of people kicked out of here. But the thing about kicking somebody out when you're in a four, you want to talk about anxiety? The thing about kicking people out when you're in a 4 unit building is everybody knows who swings the power in the building, and that's me. So everybody knows it's me kicking people out. This guy that I kicked out was like 250 pounds, and he swung the door open so hard one time that the handle like indented in the side of the building, and that's how I got him kicked out. He had a fight with his white girlfriend. Like, I give a damn what his girlfriend's white or whatever. I don't have to deal with the bitch, so that's all I care about. But he swings this big heavy front door open so hard, yelling and screaming, that the handle about gets embedded in the side of the building, and it just tore up the side of the building. And I didn't say a word to my landlord. I said, just come out here and take a look at this for me. That's all I said to him, and I just went out and pointed. He goes, how the hell did that happen? And I said, that's your buddy Anthony. It went off like I said, when I was in there, if I wasn't watching it happen, I would have jumped out of my skin because it sounded like a bomb. I thought the windows were going to break on the house. This is a 250-pound dude. And so I had to live in a building with that guy knowing that I'm throwing him out for 2 months. And it was 2 months because, me being a nice guy, he told the landlord, I don't want to take my kids out of school. There's only a month left in school, It's like he was like more or less begging to be allowed to stay. And then my landlord talked to me about it, and I said, yeah, just let him stay. So I did that martyrdom, Jesus Christ type of thing, like, Christianly thing, which That stuff can get you in trouble because people take advantage of you. Um, yeah. So yeah, it's just a lot of stress over the last. Well, my parents died in 2015, and life wasn't a party before then. So it's been like years and years of stress now, 4 or 5 years, and it's taken its toll. It's taken its toll in hair and teeth and general in nimbleness and general health and stuff. I'm still amused by things. I still find things amusing. I still find things interesting, and I enjoy talking and I enjoy writing, and there's still things I enjoy, but it's just been the whole thing's been very difficult. Uh, it's very difficult, and unfortunately, as I've said, you can't divulge too much on the internet. But finding out about people in your life and finding out who they really are, that can be like the hardest thing in the world. I've had to do some of that, you know. And I have another friend, not the friend that burns basketballs, but have another friend where his mom got really sick, and he was talking about the effect that it had on your family. And I said, you're going to find out about people. I said, that's when you really find out about people, is when things get hard, when uh, things you need help, and that's when you find out who your friends are. That's why when you find out what kind of people are, if they're going to bail on you, if they're going to turn on you, you know. And sometimes those can be the people that are closest to you. And yeah, that's really tangential there, man. That takes it to a whole other place. But yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know if I would call myself like an expert at the whole uh, glass half full thing. So I wish I could teach that to other people. I've seen like, well, I know somebody that doesn't really have any peace of mind, and they got addiction problems. Like I'm addicted to tobacco, and I'm physically dependent on benzos, and they got an addiction thing. And sometimes you wish you could just give them some. You just wish you could figure out how to. You could give that of yourself, that you can have peace. Give your peace of mind to somebody, because I see a lot of people. A lot of people would take it another way. They're like me. I'm all physically messed up, and I got all these issues and stuff. And I could get mad at people that are healthier, that are doing self-destructive things, or just they don't understand how to be happy, and they don't understand how to be content. And I could take it that way, where I'm angry at them, but I'm more or less pity them, and I more or less wish I could help them. But you can't. I heard off an old TV show where a guy said, wisdom is not a flower that one man may pluck and hand to another. It is a mountain that must be climbed. And I've had a long life, and lots of suffering and lots of experience with that. And there's some things that you can't teach people, and you can't. There's things in this life that you just have to learn, and you have to take for yourself. And I think wisdom is one, and I think feeling a sense of peace is another. And even during these dark nights of the soul, like I'm having right now, I can still have a little bit of that. And I feel fortunate that I can have that. You know, when I don't share my whole horrible story, because I have to. The names have been changed to protect the innocent, or the guilty in this case. So, I can't be completely honest on here, because it's like giving people up. You know, it maybe people that are part of my story, they don't want their stories told, maybe, and maybe they have the right uh, to that anonymity, and maybe they're ashamed of things they shouldn't be ashamed of, or I think that's what holds back a lot of people, is like they're ashamed of their own humanity, And my theory on the whole thing is like you can really should only be ashamed of things that you do and things that you fail to do. The things that happen to you, especially when you're young and powerless, or even old and powerless, you know, the things that other people inflict upon you, that's nothing to be ashamed of. Um, Bad luck, you know, that creates lack of achievement, or not having a life because of things that have happened to you, or not having the same experiences that other people have experienced. Um, those are nothing. Those are not things to be ashamed of. But hurting people, failing to help people when you could help, those are things that are worthy of being ashamed of. But as far as like actually telling my whole story, I really can't. You know, I go to the psychiatrist on July 31st, and I ran over. It's an hour and 44 minutes, and I ran over some of my life story in there, and then I was having another night like tonight, and I was like, well, I feel real sad, and more sad than I'm feeling tonight. But I said I'm feeling real sad anyways, and it's like I'm making like an appendix or addendum or just a little extra segment, whatever the appropriate word is. I don't know. There's a little extra segment or commentary on the first video, which I did. And then I was thinking about more stuff, and it's like, wow, it's amazing the things that you can pack into 50 years. Um, I always thought of my life as like a war, because they always said in war is like long periods of boredom intermingled with tiny periods of terror. Something along those lines, anyway. It's like a famous quote. But that was I always saw my life like that. It's like large parts of it is boring as and uneventful, and some parts that were downright terrifying. You know, I've had a gun held to my head. I've been almost beaten to death. I've had life-threatening illnesses, surgeries, and close calls of nearly being killed, nearly being drowned. I'm almost drowned twice. I got a beauty of a story that I'm not going to tell now about almost drowning in a river on the border of Pennsylvania and New York State. It's a honey of a story. And the sad part about it is it happened when I was 15 years old, and I don't really remember it all that well. I remember the main parts of it. It's very strange how something like that, uh, you think I would remember almost dying in that dramatic of a fashion, um, being out in the wilderness and just swept downstream. As a weak swimmer, and just left off in your underwear in the woods, naked and afraid. I was naked and afraid, and the only thing that saved me and my pitiful sense of direction was I walked along the shore of the stream, because I was like, stream, more like torrent, more like overswollen, a raging river. But I just kept along the river, because I was like, I can't be wandering off in the woods trying to find shortcuts out here. I know that I came here in a river, and if I keep walking along this river, something will look familiar, and maybe I can find my way back to camp. This is before the days of cell phones. I'm out there with nothing but a pair of boxers on, not even any shoes on my feet. But anyways, that's a long story, and I don't like to ruin a good story by telling it poorly. But yeah, I've had some experiences, even in uh, what would seem like a boring life in those 50 years. So it's very hard to encapsulate uh, a life in any kind of concise way. And due to the way my brain works, which uh, my brain is not a this is this type of brain. It's like this, and then there's over here that goes with this, and then there's over there that goes with this. And like this part is important and made part of this too. So, you know, it's it's like non-linear. I guess you could say my brain is like non-linear. It's I think the Germans have a word for it without getting too pretentious. I think it's like Gestalten, where I see the forest instead of individual trees. It's not. Yeah, you got to be a patient person to or very bored to listen to me tell a story. I do the best I can, and I do. And stories are really the only thing there is, in my opinion. That's what this is all about. That's what life is all about. Is memory and stories. That's all there is, in my opinion. That's all you'll be left with, and um, that's why it's so important, I think, to be a good person. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have nights like I'm having tonight, where it's just you, and I can look back at myself and say, yeah, I've done some things I'm ashamed of, but I was mostly good. And I guess I don't know what it would be like to be a sociopath, but I guess they don't have that worry. They don't care about good, bad. They're like that part of them doesn't matter. Or you got your narcissists that are like only thing that matters is me, not what I've done to other people, and not uh, yeah. I look at the world through the lens of me, me. That's all that matters. And those people probably maybe that's the way to go, huh? I think those people lack joy though. They lack appreciation of life. They're kind of living like animals because there's nothing more narcissistic. I take care of cats, and a cat cares about a cat. Dog's a pack animal. They might have a little bit of affection for another dog, but they're not going to let another dog eat their food. Yeah. So, so yeah, I think to be a narcissist or a sociopath is sort of like being an animal. Um, Stream of consciousness nonsense. That's all this is, right? But um, I don't know. It would help if I guess if I had a theme to this kind of thing. But I'm just killing time. If you want to kill time, listen to me. That's hey, that makes me feel like I'm uh, doing something anyway. I don't know. Um, oh, but trying to stay on point. Now, praise along. Living in a meth house, not knowing the people upstairs, trying to avoid the people upstairs so that I don't do violence. I lose my temper. I did run into two people in the hallway, and I didn't get confrontational with them because I've never seen them before, and they didn't look like sickly junkies. But I had to get a package off of the porch. And why? Oh, I don't know. Because there's junkies everywhere, thieves and criminals. Yeah. So yeah, I better get my package off the porch here. So I went out to get my package off the porch that the mailman left, and I think the coast is clear. But I reached down to pick up the package, and I look at somebody's kneecaps, and there's two guys looming over top of me, and I never seen them before, and I kind of like have trouble picking up the package anyway. And I'm in poor physical shape. I'm out there in shorts and nothing else because it's hot out. So they could probably see my withered legs and stuff. But me being me and having that temper, it's like that's not going to stop me if I lose my temper. Yeah. Uh, so, anyways, I had to say something to them. So I said, "What are you guys up to today?" In a somewhat confrontational tone. And they were like, "Oh, we're just going upstairs to see what's up," whatever the hell that means. See, maybe whatever that means. I don't know. They didn't mention the guy's name or anything, which is interesting. It's also interesting that my landlord doesn't even know the guy that's living in the property's last name. He knows him as Clint. That might not even be the guy's real name. His name's Clint. His last name's not Eastwood. That's about the only thing I can guarantee you. So, anyways, these two guys, and I'm looking at these two guys and sizing them up, and they're looking at me. And I ask them what's up, and they say that, and they say, "What's up with you?" And I'm like, I'm just living, man. I'm not saying it's getting any easier though. They gave a little chuckle and went upstairs, and I went back inside and did this because I didn't lose my temper. And I noticed when I was talking to the neighbors, like my hands were shaking from nerves, and my hands weren't shaking when I was playing the guitar a minute ago, which is a good sign. But Actually, my nerves have been too wrecked. I haven't been able to even play my guitar, which is one of the few things I enjoy, because my hands were shaking so bad and I had so much rage in me from living in Meth Central. But that could all come to an end this Sunday, or it could drag out even further. That's another thing that's always fun about having anxiety, is not knowing what's going to happen. There's other scenarios that could happen with that. The Scott guy could he could get acquitted. He could come back here, and the government could still be paying for his place, and he could come back living here, and he could come back and have all his junkie friends here. And all my junkie friends are coming over tonight. Are you ready for some football? Have all his junkie friends over here, and we'll have the same situation over again. That's a possibility. I think he'll get convicted, frankly, and then he'll lose the government funding. And I think these people will probably squat till the end of the month, and then when the rent gets paid, doesn't get paid, when the guy gets convicted that's in jail, then my landlord will start give them the 3-day notice and start the eviction process. So they could actually, if they wanted to squat here, they could be here the entire summer. That's worst case scenario. Besides me murdering one of them, or one of them murdering me, or both. Somebody said, I was talking about it, they know me know me pretty well, and they're like, listen, I don't want to visit you in jail. And I said, you won't be visiting me in jail. You'll be visiting me in the hospital with my hand handcuffed to the railing of the bed. You won't be visiting me in jail. It's like if there's violence, I'm going to get hurt. That's a given. But somebody else is going to get hurt because I'm not doing fisticuffs. There will be weapons involved. So, yeah. And I said, I know the people. I got a loud voice. I know the people upstairs can hear him. I said on the porch when I was talking to one of my other neighbors down the street, I said, listen, anybody breaks in here, I'm going to kill them. So I don't even know if that's an empty threat or not. So I probably would. I can't afford to play around. My health is too fragile. So yeah, that's the kind of situation that I'm in. It's like 1 week this happens, 1 week that happens. Next week I'm living in Meth Central for 2 weeks. I already told the story about not being able to keep appointments because the guy blew up the toilet upstairs and the toilet water falling in my clothes hamper and all that stuff. So it's like I just think if I may use a metaphor, God just is amused with me. He just likes to mess with me a little bit. Universe just likes to play its little games with me because if y'all don't think I'm amusing, somebody must think I'm amusing. If there's some sort of heavenly entity above, he must find it amusing to mess with me. Because I could go on and on and on about the bizarre things that have happened in my life. And just the odd, like, that only can happen to you. I don't know if I think I already told my tornado story where I was fishing with 3 guys and I got hit by a mini tornado, and I was the only guy that got hit. I'm sure I already told that story on here. Yeah, I got to kill time somehow. Uh, what else can I do? I've been listening to books. Watched a couple of movies last night, but sleep's not coming because I'm not comfortable. I don't feel safe, and I got a hostile situation in my building going on, which I don't know if it's going to come to an end or not. Hopefully, it could be over as early as upcoming Sunday. But if these people are savvy and they understand the law, that's a free property up there. That's free rent. People generally don't like to turn down free stuff, especially a free place to live. Yeah, people generally don't like to turn that down. All right, well, if I have anybody still with me on this, I'm gonna have to drink some tea. I got some lavender tea. It says sleep on the package. It's supposed to be relaxing. I don't think it's as relaxing as a half a milligram of Xanax. But I'll give it a try. It don't taste too bad. It's kind of weird that my tea is lavender tea, and that's my where I wash my bed sheets is a lavender fabric softener. So yeah, yeah, I am sort of an innocent little lambykins in a lot of ways. Because I was just thinking, like, uh, I don't really think about overthink. I overthink a lot of things, but I don't like to overthink the fact that I'm just laying in bed talking to complete strangers, shirtless, talking about my bed sheets and stuff. It's like I don't know. That's what happens when you're non-evil. It's, you don't think your mind's not spinning. You're not always like thinking in other people's heads, like, what would this person? What about this and what about that? You know, I'm kind of childlike in that way. Um, what else can I? What else can I ramble on about? What else would be interesting to you? I can't take requests because I'm just talking into a mic. I don't have no call button like a radio show and ask you what you want to talk about. But yeah, I have a stressful month coming up. I still have to schedule my bone scan. I still have a messed up leg where it's painful to walk. It even hurts to stand and do the dishes. And there's something weird in the muscle. I don't know what I did to the muscle, but you can actually feel some corded up, like tight area in the muscle, and that's impairing my mobility and adding to my stress because I don't get to walk around much. And I was lifting weights there for a while, but I figured I don't really know what's wrong with my leg until I find that out. So I probably should make an appointment to somebody who does some kind of sports medicine or something like that. Since my MD, the guy who prescribes me my alprazolam, is not really all that interested in my case. He's the guy that said, "Oh, let's talk about your Ativan." And I'm like, "I don't take Ativan. I haven't taken that. You haven't prescribed Ativan for me for 3 years." He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, He's like, he's the guy who said, um, "Oh yeah, is pain management handling your alprazolam?" I'm like, "No, you are." That's about how interested he is in my case. So, but if I went and made an appointment with him and I said, "Look, man, I got to go to some kind of, I don't know who deals with that sort of a thing," or if I wanted to push the issue, I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff at once with the meth situation, and then I have psychiatry appointments, and I have to get a bone scan for, it's just all annoying. It's just like I don't like to overload myself, and when you're going through trying to withdraw off of a benzo, you can only burden yourself with so much stuff at a time. I mean, I need to make dental appointments. I need do a lot of things, but I can only do what I can do. You know, uh, Too many straws on this camelback, man. I'll be flat. I won't. It won't break my back. I'll just be flat. I'll be run over like a frog in the street because, yeah, I'm overstrained. Like I said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I got my TV on in the other room eating up my electric bill just because I'm still worried about meth heads breaking in here, and because I got criminals living over top of me. And I don't want nobody breaking in here and me having to take a machete to them. I don't want that scenario to play out. And it's not even like a paranoid thought. It's happened. Well, I mean, stuff like that happens. It's happened to me where I've lived in worse neighborhoods than this, and I've had people try my door handle at 2 o'clock, 2 a.m., and I've heard people like outside up to no good. So it could happen, and it's more likely to happen if you already got criminals living inside your building. So yeah, that's not good for a person's anxiety. Mm. Hmm. Well, I don't know. I don't even know if this one's, this as I always remind myself, you're not chained to this video. So anytime that I begin to be boring, try not to take too much offense and cry too much if you switch on to some other poor blathering soul besides myself. Uh, it is an interesting thing though about semantics behind people saying that people have a bad temper, because like I was talking to my landlord and he said, you think you have a bad temper? That Richard guy upstairs, he got, I'm talking to bad temper, like put somebody in the hospital, bad temper. He's talking about a bad temper as somebody that loses their temper. No, it's healthy to lose your temper. It reminds me of a say. Older people might remember this, but it was on a kid show like Sesame Street or something like that. But they had a goat that was singing. It was like a singing goat, and he would say, "It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad to get mad." And then he'd be like, "If this happens and this happens and this happens, what do? I get mad. I get mad. I get mad. It ain't bad to get mad." And it's really not. It's healthy to lose your temper. It's not healthy to be like I am, where I process everything. Like even when I was deeply wounded, like 2 days after Christmas, emotionally, I didn't like go off on the person that was hurting me. I was like, "Why are you doing this?" And I was processing it. I don't know why I'm like that. I mean, I think it's partly the CRPS, partly because my father, who is now deceased, was a very frightening individual, and you just couldn't go around expressing your emotions willy-nilly around him. And but I get angry and I acknowledge the anger and stuff like that, but it just takes me a while to process it. I feel like a twinge at the time when most people are like, "The hell's wrong with you?" Getting mad. I feel like that twinge, or I just, I did go off like that incident with my niece. I went off, but mostly I just feel like that, like a twinge, and then I'll sit about it and I'll just kind of like squash that feeling for a while, and then I'll think about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do have a right to be mad. That's not a healthy way to be. It'll probably take years off your life. My uncle was a World War II vet who died, I think, when he was 95, and that was my theory about how he got to live so long. Is he just let it all hang out, man. If he got mad, he got mad. If he wanted to go off about uh, use certain words that are, they call them, I think they call it the N word now, or go off, and he said whatever he wanted to say whenever he wanted to say it. He went through World War II and fought in the Japanese theater, by God, and he lived through that. And he's like, I don't wear a seatbelt. I'm never going to wear a seatbelt. I predate seatbelts. He just had that kind of attitude. Because he had that kind of attitude, he didn't bottle anything up, and he didn't process emotions in the same way. You think I'm going to live to 95? That ain't going to happen. Yeah, the dude lived to 95, and I'll tell you something else. I stood up in a boat with him on Lake Erie, and he was standing in that boat, and I was 30 something, and he was 78. He might have been in his 80s, and I got tired before he did. He was in that good a shape. He didn't really start to deteriorate until he got to be about 85. Then his health started to go. Yeah, I was amazed. I was like, I don't know how this guy was in World War II. He's standing up in his boat with me on this rocking water in Lake Erie for 3 hours, standing right beside me. I want to sit down. He don't look tired. I didn't ask him if he was tired, but well, just another, like to say, just another long dark night of the soul. But I'm not like sad particularly. I'm just very irritable, and just don't feel like watching any stupid movies. Lord knows there's plenty of those out there, and I'm not currently hooked into any TV shows that I'd be like, oh, I'll watch an episode of this. I rewatch, or sometimes people like to rewatch movies for comfort. That's what they find that comforting. And sometimes I like to listen to books. Well, a lot of times I like to listen to books. and try to like relax and kill time that way. But I'm just really irritated. Just feel overall sense of irritation. It's a lot better than the murderous rage that I was feeling like 2, 3 days ago. So my hands was all shaking, and I was way worse than I am now. And I'm pretty sure I can go back to normal. I just can't be screwing around and up dosing with that Xanax stuff. I can't do that. If I got to be up till 5 o'clock in the morning, I got to be up till 5 o'clock in the morning. I've been getting roughly 4 hours of sleep a night for a long time now, and if that's the way it's got to be, that's the way it's got to be. I got to wait it out. But as far as like up dosing, I can't do that. It's like I haven't up dosed so much as the spacing between um, my pills has gone down. That's not really up dosing. Up dosing is like, instead of taking a 1/4 milligram, you take a half. Instead of taking a half, you take, you know. Now, if you take like, if you're on a quarter taper and you're taking a quarter 2 times a day, that would be up dosing. You know, not really doing that. So I'm just like not spacing it out as well as I have, and I'm taking more volume than I should be taking. And I don't think that's a good thing either, because it's different. It's not the same thing as it's in the same family of drugs. They're both benzodiazepines, Valium and Xanax, but they're different. But at the same time, Valium also addictive, and people also have problems with that. But my overall plan is to stockpile uh, Xanax and do the weaning myself, which is a little bit more costly. But to do the transfer from Xanax to Valium, and then eventually I'll get my off the Xanax, and if I still can't deal, I'll do the switch from Xanax to Valium, and per the Ashton manual, since that's what my psychiatrist uses. Thank goodness, because I went to my MD with a copy of a piece of the Ashton manual, and he never even didn't know who she was, and not surprisingly, never heard of her or the Ashton manual. So, if you already know my story, and if you're listening to this, because this is almost an hour, if you definitely already know that how my doctor is about how he was going to drop me off. We usually drop people off faster than that. I was like, man, you drop people off any faster than that, you're just handing them a bottle of pills and wishing them good luck, saying this is the last you're getting out of me. You know, and unfortunately, I don't know why the medical community is not. They don't. The medical community in general don't seem to understand the effect that benzodiazepines have on some people, and I mean, I would say most people. Uh, there's always exceptions, you know, but I would say the effect that it has on most people that have been taking it for a certain length of time is so devastating, and they seem to be unaware of that. They're unaware of the amount of suffering that it causes, uh, and how even like a reduction. Like I got to 50% reduction, and that almost destroyed me. Just off a 50% reduction, I wasn't even cold turkey, and that was a white knuckle affair. And I lost 12 pounds in 2 weeks from that. I could barely eat, and I was just laying in bed sick. And oh God, it actually makes me feel a little better thinking about that, because at least I don't feel like I did back then. I'm just, nervous for a good reason. You know, I'm not just laying there, no appetite, miserable. My appetite was affected adversely by this meth nonsense, but yeah, why the medical community isn't up on that, or I don't know. It's not like this is new either. The Heather Ashton lady, she goes back to, God, I think the early 80s. They knew the effect that this was having on people. Like, Valium's been around a long time. That was like a popular drug of housewives in the 50s, I think. Xanax, I think, come around a little later. I know the first time I got prescribed Xanax was in the mid 80s. Yeah, that's the first time I got prescribed it. It really didn't have that much of an effect on me. I never got addicted to it. I was young, and I think I just wasn't on it for very long. I think that was when I was 16 or 17 years old, so that would be 34 years ago. So Xanax has been around for 40 years, and it's like after 40 years, they don't know what this. They don't know how to manage tapers, and doctors don't know not to drop people off it. They don't know how to handle it. Doesn't really make any sense. I don't really understand that. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna drink the rest of my lavender tea and leave y'all in peace. And hopefully, if it's nighttime where you're at, you're having a better night than I am, because it is 2:20 in the morning, and I am the kind of person that likes to be up uh, before 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't think that's going to happen. But you gotta look at all the silver linings. And one thing about being crippled up and on disability is I don't have to be up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't have anything going on tomorrow. So uh, yeah, there's that. Yeah, like I said, I'm an expert when it comes to the whole half full thing, half fill thing. Yeah, I think it's time to go. So, anyways, hope you're having a better night than I am. This is, uh, yeah, I don't know. I should have just left it at that. Dropped the ball yet again.